Hey, welcome to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. So glad you all could come back and join me for another episode of Men's Stories and Conversations. It's a blessing that this community continues to grow, and I'm excited about every new listener, and I want to welcome you and hope that you feel comfortable just sitting with the rest of the listeners who have been here maybe since day one, maybe since episode 15. But regardless, I want to welcome you all, and I want to thank you for coming. I hope that you can feel comfortable sitting with this community that cares about you and hopes that you can not only feel God's love, but see God's glory in men's real stories. All right. So, of course, as always, on today's episode, I got a special guest, as always, and I'm always excited about the guests that I have met, whether it be through bumping into them in person or just meeting them through social media and just truly being inspired with their story, inspired about what they're doing. And so on today's episode, I have the pleasure of having my guest being a youth motivational and inspirational speaker, an author, and consultant. I'd like to welcome to the show my brother Demont Pope. Hey, brother, welcome.
Hey, my brother. Thank you, man. I'm
Yes,
honored to
sir.
be here, brother. Thank you so much for the invitation and this opportunity, my brother.
Yes. It's my pleasure. And, I tell people, everybody that I bring here, I truly feel like God led me in a direction to reach out to them. And sometimes, even with you, when I saw your platform, when I went and looked at a lot of the things that you were doing, there's always this moment where I'm like, I'm just getting started. I haven't really been doing this long. I hope that doesn't keep people from really wanting to sit down and like really just unpack their story with me on this podcast. And so it's always a blessing when God has already opened the door and just wants to see if I have what it takes to go and knock on that door. And that's exactly what I did. I'm so glad that you were there to welcome me and say, hey, brother, it would be a pleasure to come on and talk to you. So I want to go ahead and jump right in and let my listeners know who you are. Give them a little bit about yourself.
Man, as you already stated, I am Demont Pope, aka Mr. Purpose Over Pointless Excuses. Yeah, let's go. Listen, I am an inspirational, motivational speaker. I am a consultant. My sweet spot is the educational space, man. I love pouring into students, pouring into educators, man. Also, I am an international podcast host. I host the podcast King Speaks podcast, brother. So everything inspirational, everything motivational for me, man. I'm about empowerment. But guess what, brother? Guess what? That ain't even the most important part of me. That ain't even the real part of my identity. That's just what I do, right? That's a description of what I do. But who I am is a father, right?
Okay.
Who I am
Yes,
is a husband. Yeah, who I am is a man of God, right? Who I am is a vessel, a servant being used by God to inspire, empower, motivate, educate all who may hear me speak. That's who I am, as well as being an author. That's another thing that I do. I write books. You understand what I'm saying? I'm also a mentor and a curriculum facilitator, workshop facilitator, also within the school spaces, K through 12, college spaces. I'm in the nonprofit organizations, faith-based groups, churches, wherever they need it at, I'm gonna give it to them. You get what I'm saying, King?
No, I get it. And I love that. And you know what? Let's jump right in. Let's talk about this book, man, because first of all, what inspired you to write this book? Because I know we all have a story, but sometimes our stories are never written down like yours. So what truly inspired you to write the book?
Man, honestly, be full transparent, man, with you, man, which is the only way I know how to do it. Is like, bro, I wanted to have something that was gonna outlive me. You understand what I'm saying? I wanted to have something that was going to outlive me. And one of my mentors, one of my coaches told me this. He was like, books live forever. And I'm going to let you sit with that for a minute, bro.
Yeah,
he said,
that's good.
Yeah, bro. He said, books live forever. So I'm like, okay, I can't pass down the job to my children. I can't pass down all of the skills and talents and gifts and abilities that I have, right? I can't always be here because we all got an expiration date. But my brother, I realized one day that I found out that a book will live forever. And then my kids, not only them, but the generations after them and generations to come will always be able to hear my words by picking up that book, reading that word, bro. So It's all about legacy for me.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And listen to me. When I say you wrote a book, you wrote a book. You wrote a book that I truly feel like will not only, I know you truly touched the youth, but this book I feel like truly even gave me a great read just to sharpen my own stone when it came to like just sitting back like, wow, that's awesome right there. Because you know, I know there. I have a lot of different books that I try to go through. And this past year, I've read more books than I probably think I've read my entire life. But I want to say that your book truly kind of held my attention. It was a great story, and it kind of held you with this. And then at the end of every chapter, I have to say that was awesome how you set it up with as I call it, the unpacking moments, where you can kind of unpack your own thoughts, not only on what we just experienced through your story, but what we're experiencing in our own story. So like tell me why that was so important to put that in your book, those moments of just reflection, as I call it. In your book, it was called the discovery moments at the end of the chapters, where you could truly unpack, and it was almost like holding a mirror up to each reader. What made you do that?
Yeah, man. Well, first off, Robert, man, let me be honest, man. And I'm truly grateful and I'm truly humbled, man, by your words, man, and by your feedback from the book, brother. I'm truly grateful that it really touched you, moved you, and did what I wrote it to do, bro. But I can't take credit. It's all God that used the story that happened for me, right, to translate it through me so that it can get to the readers. And the thing about the discovery moment, bro, because to me, the book is titled Purpose Over Pointless Excuses, which of course is a play on my last name, Pope, P-O-P-E, right? Purpose over pointless excuses, right? How to discover the power to overcome, right? So it's all about adversities that I've experienced, childhood adversities, right? Known as ACEs, right? Adverse childhood experiences, which are experiences that we encounter from childhood, adverse experiences that we encounter before the age of 18, right? So that's what it was all about. But as I'm reading it and writing it, I'm realizing that the readers, right, a lot of the readers are going to be between that teenage or that middle school age, right? They're going to be youth, meaning that they're going to be before the age of 18. So I wanted them to be self-aware. So the discovery moment was about awareness. Like, don't just read my story and become a fan, or don't just read my story and say, oh, he's amazing. No, I want you to read my story and be able to relate to the struggles and say that, okay, if he can do it and he's a man just like me, breathing oxygen and walking on this earth like me, then why can't I do it? And I'm going to show you how to do it, because as they write in those discovery moments, they realize and they become more self-aware of themselves, and they can relate to some of my struggles. And as you notice, I would always ask them, like, maybe what would you do differently if you were in this situation? Like, what does this mean to you? Can you relate to this? I want them to not know me. Like, it ain't about making me a superstar and making me a celebrity, right? It's about me helping them find their true identity and their self-worth and their true potential by living in my purpose and walking in it, bro. That's what it was about for me. So I had to put the discovery moments, because while they're reading my book, they were writing their book at the same time.
Right. And that's so true. And I recently had a guest that talked about how, like, sometimes it takes us journaling to realize we have a book in us. and I mean, you just literally hit it on the head, because there are so many books that have been written by, I'm sure, many young men and older men, and just sitting back and reflecting with the notes that you put in there. And so, like, for any listener that may be listening, young or old, that was truly an encouragement to sit back and just kind of, I call it my unpacking moments, where I like to sit back and just unpack, like, what I've experienced, even going back to a younger age, because that's what a lot of us don't really do. We have trouble going back to our younger selves, sitting with our younger selves, reflecting on what it was like when we were at that age and we were going through similar situations. Did at any point during writing the book, did it ever make you have to heal from old wounds that may have still been there as you kind of reflected on some of the content at this age?
Listen, King, when I tell you this was a roller coaster ride for me, you understand what I'm saying? Because again, like, I'm writing with one intent. I'm writing thinking about legacy. I'm writing thinking about becoming an authority, right? I'm writing thinking about leaving something on this earth that will outlive me, right? I'm writing with the thought of impacting the masses. Like, I wasn't even intending on hitting my own heart, hitting my own mind. I wasn't intending to rip off bandages of old wounds, right, that I thought I had overcome. But I mean, even in writing it, I'm going to be all the way transparent, bro. Tears started to fall. You hear what I'm saying? Because I had to go. It was the little boy in me, right? That boy in me. I had to introduce the king in me to that little boy in me, and I had to tell the younger me, right, that it was okay. right? I had to tell the younger me that it was okay to feel the hurt, embrace the pain, lean into it, as one of my mentors would say, lean into the pain, right? So for me, it was an emotional roller coaster, but it was therapeutic and it was cleansing at the same time. So not only was I inspiring and motivating others, but I was inspiring myself, Robert. You know what I'm saying? Because I was looking at the little me, and I was like, back when I was this age, when I was in middle school, right? When I was going to 6 different elementary schools, 2 middle schools, right? Before I got in 9th grade, I was already in my 9th school. Like when I was looking at that me, I was like, it's okay. Because if I had known then that I was going to turn out to be who I am now, I don't even know if I would have been able to handle the situation the same way. I may have been a little arrogant, right? I may have been a little bit cocky, right? But we know pride comes before the fall. So me having to relive those moments, big bro, it reminded me to be humble. And it showed me how far I've come, and it gave me a greater level of gratitude for our Heavenly Father, because God done brought me from a long way, as you can tell about the stories in that book, my bro.
Right. No, and definitely. And look, listen to me. I definitely could see it, and it was almost like walking alongside you as I read your book. And there were certain moments. There was even a moment in your book where it hit me like rocks. I mean, I'm talking about like a boulder falling on me, because I had a similar moment, and I even want to quote you in the book. You put, I'd like to, I hold on, let me see. Make sure I find the right line in the book. After a life-changing event in your life, you put, I didn't like me. I didn't want to be me. I felt broken and worthless. I felt abandoned and rejected. And there's so many men that may not admit it, but have felt every last one of those emotions, those feelings, and they would never expose it, say it out loud, or admit it to anyone, because in admitting that, it's almost like you're putting yourself out here. You're making yourself fully transparent. And a lot of men feel like there's a weakness in being that transparent, because once you expose yourself in a manner, as some people like to say, it's like, okay, now you've opened the door up for gossip. You open the door up for people to be able to talk about you and talk down on you. Tell me, and I can truly, I'll say this before I kick it back over to you. I remember that moment in my life where I truly sat down and said, I really don't like me. Like, I don't like the person I've become. And I've learned that it's in those moments sometimes where, if there was ever an opportunity for change, that is the opportunity. Because when you've learned to not like who you've become at that point, that's when there is the most opportunity for you to say, okay, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Like, because at this point, you have every opportunity to make the change. Question is are you going to get out of your comfort zone? Are you going to allow what just happened to make you hate you, in a manner of speaking, that make you feel broken, worthless, and all that? What are you going to do about it? So I'd love for you to expound upon that, just to kind of give some context to my young and old listeners about that.
Yeah, man. So absolutely. It's like this with me, man. Again, as I'm writing it and I'm getting those emotions out and I'm getting those feelings out, like I told you, I'm having an emotional roller coaster, my bro, because I'm reliving moments that I thought I had healed from, right? So I'm getting healed through the process of trying to heal somebody else. That's ministry. Right. That's serving, right? And you hit the nail. Bro, you hit the nail on the head when you say it exposes you. See, that's the thing about transparency. Transparency exposes you. It puts you in harm's way, so to speak, because now people can say, oh, I know this about him. Oh, I know that about him. Oh, he's traveling the country now. Oh, his podcast is in about 32 different countries now. Oh, his mentor is Jeremy Anderson, right? His mentor is Inky Johnson. Oh, his mentor is Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. But look, hey, look, if you look in this book, he used to be insecure. Like he used to be battling with depression. Like he ain't really all that. But look, it's something about that truth, because that truth will set you free. Listen, man, look, it never said that the truth won't hurt. It said that the truth will make us free. So if I got to hurt myself by being truthful, because listen, man, I teach my 5 children this. Okay, I teach them this. I got 3 boys and 2 girls. I teach them this: truth, lies, right, wrong. If you don't remember anything, let's break it down like a fraction to the simplest form. There's truth, lies, there's right, there's wrong. So when you tell the truth, when you open yourself up for the truth, right, you've already put yourself on a different level, on a different plateau. So by me being truthful and honest, I'm leading by what? I'm leading by example. So if you can see me expose myself, expose the hurt, expose the shame, expose the embarrassment, and truly talk about my feelings as a black male in today's society, coming from where I come from, come on, man. If I can do it, you can do it. So I just wanted to be that encouragement, Robert, to the brothers that was going to be reading the book, the young and old brothers, like you said. Expound on it for the young and the old, because it ain't just for young people. Like, it's older people now that don't even know that there is a such thing called adverse childhood experiences. They don't know that what they were going through was trauma, right? They thought it was drama. Like I put in my book, I thought it was everyday drama, bro. Like, so you got parents right now that's raising their kids the same way they were raised, not realizing that they're further perpetuating the same trauma, right? They are coming a perpetrator of the same trauma that was inflicted on them. So me exposing my truth and how I felt about it, that was in hopes to shine light on it so that the reader would know that you have the capacity to make somebody feel like this. So me letting you know how I felt about it, I want you to know that you got the capacity to make yourself feel like this, because I was the one doing it to me the most. I was the one hurting me the most. I was viewing myself that way, as opposed to viewing myself the way God created me, Robert, which was beautifully and wonderfully made. So I wanted the reader to know that, hey, at this point, I didn't love me. I didn't like me. But it's only because I didn't know me, because I wasn't being me. So I didn't know me because I was afraid to show me.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. And that's so real right there. And so I'm just, so with that, with knowing that, with truly tapping into your true identity, what is it like when you're talking to youth who have been living an identity that their friends, that culture has given them, that they want to live up to so that they can experience popularity, so that they can experience, being in the in crowd and all that? What is it like speaking to young men that I'm sure find their way to you, maybe after opportunities of you speaking there, just to kind of speak with you directly? What is it like when you're speaking to those men, and how do they truly perceive this when you can notice, like, all of you guys are really truly trying to fit in, but in your opportunities or moments where you're moving to try to fit in with that group, you're not actually tapping into who you actually are?
That's it. Listen, and it's challenging. It's challenging yet rewarding at the same time, right? Because you only earn the title of a champion, right, when you've championed some things, right? It's only a testimony after the test is over, after you've endured, right? So when I encounter these individuals, I make it clearly and plain, like, okay, and you're trying to fit into a modern society. First of all, I let them know, like, it's hard to be a star, right? Trying to fit in other people's circles. Yeah. It's hard because you were created to be a star, yet you're trying to fit into other people's circle. And they say, big bro, what you talking about, King? Big bro, what do you mean? I'm saying, like, you're trying to fit into other people's circle of approval. Like, their circle of approval is not necessarily your identity, because we got young men doing things that they don't even necessarily like, but they doing it because they're trying to fit in. They're trying to win that acceptance, right? And it's all because they're looking for one thing. They're looking for acceptance, but they're looking for love at the core of it. They're looking for love. And I tell them, I say, hey, pay attention to what's going on in the society that's trying to influence you, right? I said, those who constantly and consistently portray to you that they're being real and they're authentic, watch them. Because they're not being their authentic selves. They're portraying characters in the recording studio. They're portraying characters on the TV screen. So I'm like, be careful, even in the neighborhoods, right? Because the tough guys in the neighborhood are really insecure on the outside. I'm on the inside, right? Even the ladies, right? Some of the young women that's out here, right? And we know, I'm not going to go into specifics about that, but they carry themselves in a manner to get that attention, because without that attention, they won't feel that beautiful. They won't feel that smart or that attractive. And the young men are the same way. So if they don't have what the cool guy has or the tough guy has, they feel like they're not man enough. And we got this false description of manhood. And I need these kids to know, these boys to know, these kings to know that, listen, it's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to hurt. Listen, when you being authentically real with yourself, you're going to be real with everybody else around you. But first, you got to connect to that man in the mirror. My favorite song, one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs is Man in the Mirror. Man, come on. He said, I'm asking him to change his ways. So before you can change the people around you, bro, you got to change the man in the mirror. So how do you know if you fit in their circle, right? If you don't even know the identity of who you looking at inside of your mirror, you a star created to rise above and shine, but yet you trying to minimize yourself to fit in other people's circle of approval who ain't even meant to rise to the heights or the elevation that you were created to reach. You see what I'm saying?
Right. No, definitely. So with that said, then you got it. So you know what? I love the 5 steps you identified in your book, and if it's cool with you, I'd love for you to share those, because I love for men to come out here and kind of share their tools, their tips on how they're moving through life, what they're doing to be able to truly tap into who their true identity, tap in to who they really are. Would you mind sharing those with us?
Man, absolutely. I don't have no problem at all, man. The first one, of course, is believe. You understand what I'm saying? You got to believe that you are not insignificant, right? You got to believe you're not no accident, right? You got to believe you were created with a purpose, for a purpose, and on purpose. You get what I'm saying? Second one is you got to be true. Again, we just got through talking about that, right? You got to be true to your identity, be true to your authentic self. But first, you got to be self-aware. You got to know who your authentic self is. The third one is you got to be strong. And when I'm on the stage, I kick it to them just like I'm kicking it to y'all now. Like check this out. Physical strength is cool. It's cool to be buff and have the muscles be in the gym. But check it out. What if I told you that mental strength was ice cold? Yeah. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back, Robert, and for the ones who don't want to hear it. Physical strength is cool, my brother. But mental strength is ice cold. And the fourth step is simply be you. After you've been true, now you know who you are. Be true to who God created you to be. Be true to the things that you know God called you and blessed you, your talents, your gifts, your abilities, your skills. And I'm flipping through the pages right now with you. You know what I'm saying? And the last one is simple. The last one is this. It's just be. Just be what? Be whatever God called you to be. If you want to be the next principal, the next teacher, the next NFL player, the next politician, the next president of the United States, maybe you want to be the next inspirational speaker, the next motivational speaker, the next author, right? Maybe you want to be the first person in your family to become a multimillionaire, entrepreneur. Listen, man, but you got to be who you were created to be. Oh, man, I'm feeling something on inside of me right now, right? So listen, we got to stop trying to adapt, right? Or adopt the mindset that was given to us by someone who didn't manufacture us. We have to stop trying to adapt or adopt the mindset of those, right, who didn't manufacture us. If you want to know how to operate a thing, you got to read the instruction manual that was created by the manufacturer.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's, man, listen to me. I was solid right there. And that is so real, because I tell people all the time, you'll never get the true answers or your true identity from the people that you believe are in charge of, like, well, my mom made me, so she knows who I know. Listen to me. Your true identity lies in your creator, and your true identity can and you can get answers. Like, a lot of people are always looking for purpose, and in seeking purpose, a lot of people will go off, well, I felt good about this. It felt good. It made me feel like this is where I need to be. And I recently heard a pastor say, there's nothing worse than winning at the wrong thing. I was like, whew, man, that's crazy right there. Like, imagine going to college for 4 to 8 years. Imagine doing a lot of technical school. Imagine just seeking a career in something that you have put everything in, only to be possibly called away from that one day into your true purpose that aligns with all the gifts you already have that you didn't even recognize. Like, you know what? I always knew that I had this thing where I could do this well, didn't know what it was for until now. And so I love how you break that all down when it comes to like our purpose, our identity, and our self-worth, because those are all keys to us moving forward in our trueness, in our true identity. And I love how you put that, because look, I love your personality and how you go in, because it truly is not just an inspirational message, but I think that you definitely in the future have an opportunity to add adult motivational speaker, because like when I tell people, like I looked at this at your title, I was like, youth, okay, but you know, I was motivated. I mean, like I've watched you a couple of times on a couple of your lives, you know, and for anybody that hasn't watched him yet on a live, you got to experience his lives, because his lives on Instagram are definitely just that. They're motivational. They're inspirational. They have you sitting there like, you know what? Where's the door? I'm about to go kick this door in, because it's time for me to get out of my own way of what I've been keeping myself in, to see what God has for me, to see what he has prepared for me, what he has planned for me. And the truth of the matter is, like you said, you're only going to know you won't know unless you go and reach out to him. You sit down with him. And so that takes me to my next part, is that, you know, I know, I originally reached out to you because I was watching you on a podcast one day where you were talking about growing up in the church and some of the things that you felt and some of the impressions that people had of being a as you called it, a Christian or a goody two shoes church boy, you know. And I love how you put that, because I was like, I can connect with that, because growing up, a lot of times, if you, especially in that culture, in that community, growing up, it wasn't we never felt like it was how God saw us. It was how Christians saw us. Yeah. And so we were a lot of times living for what they felt, how they felt we should look, how they felt we should talk, and how we should move. Tell me a little bit about that as far as your growing up and what that was like.
Yeah, man, another phenomenal question, brother. You hit me in the head with them today. Thank God I stay ready, so I ain't never got to get ready. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So for me, man, over 30 years, you know what I mean, growing up in the church, over 30 years of operating in ministry, over 30 years of studying the word to show myself approved, right? You just can't get it on a Sunday when you finna go to church. You can't listen, man. You got to build relationship. And how do we build relationship? By communication. So how do we communicate, right? I found out that we communicate through God by prayer. That's us communicating to him, right? Then we listen to him through meditation, right? And then he speaks to us through his word and through others and through everything in the universe that he created, right? So it's a communication, but we don't know how to connect to that communication, because some of us, right, there's a difference between being educated and indoctrinated, right? So a lot of us, we think we're educating, but we're really indoctrinating, because we're only feeding you the same cold food that was fed to us, and we just pull it out of the refrigerator or the freezer. Okay, well, this is the way grandma did it, and this is the way mama did it. Oh, this is the way granddad did it, so this is the way dad did it. So I'm gonna take this out the freezer and I'm gonna put it in the microwave and I'm gonna give it to my kids and I'm gonna tell them this is the way we do it. But I found out that when you seek him for yourself, you'll come to know that there are some things, there are some traditions. As a matter of fact, Christ himself said tradition makes the religion of no effect. So we out here, I'm going to say it again, because them ain't my words. Christ said the tradition make religion of no effect. So what we out here doing, bro, we out here looking good on the outside. We in the pulpit hooping and hollering, breathing and sweating, like we done wrote in the part where they supposed to say amen at in our speeches. And I'm like, look, now I'm a communicator and I do this professionally, right? But my roots are in the ministry, right? So I'm an inspirer, right? I'm seeking impact first. It just so happened that God rewards me with income, right? As I sow the seed, he blesses the seed sower so that we always have seed to sow. So what we doing, bro, we focus on the outside. We standing in the pulpit and we're portraying an image. We're portraying to be perfected, or we're portraying to be really the example of Christ in one light, but yet we go home and then the real us come out in front of our kids and the real us come out in front of our community and our family members. And then they looking at us crazy. And I was one of them, because I was caught up in it. You understand what I'm saying? And then I realized one day that this is a smoke screen, it's smoke and mirrors. Like I've been a part of churches where they hold, like, listen, man, I'm gonna be transparent. Like they holding meetings about how to generate more income from the membership that's already struggling and giving above and over and over and above. And they seeking to draw more income so that they can keep their salary coming in and so that they can keep the payroll going in. And I'm like, what? Okay, I know we got to do business. I know you in the business of doing ministry, but at what point or at what extent help me say this, Father. At what point does it become where you've crossed out the ministry and just started focus on business? At what point does it just become a for-profit business? Now, in my opinion, like, they got for-profit for a reason. I've set up several for-profit businesses. Why? Because my intent is to create income and to take care of my family with that. But if I set up a entity and say that it's all about building up the people, but you can't build the people up if you dirty on the inside. That's just like me riding down the street, and my favorite vehicle is the Cadillac Escalade. So picture me riding down the street in a Cadillac Escalade. It's brand new on the outside, but I got an old school engine on the inside. I ain't put no oil in the engine. I ain't changed no transmission fluid, right? I ain't took no care of the inside of that vehicle, but I keep that outside waxed and polished. I keep them rims chromed up, right? I keep that music bumping or whatever. So when people hear me coming or when they see me coming, right, I do whatever I need to do for people to notice me.
Right.
But I'm not taking care of the inside so that it operates properly. So what we doing is we building a culture in the church where back when I was growing up, we were forced to go to church. And now it's a new day and age. And a lot of these young people don't want to go to church or don't want to hear nothing really about church, right? Because they saw the example that was being set was hypocritical examples. Like we were perpetuating information that we truly didn't understand. And I was one of them.
Right. But do you feel like maybe that's the problem? They're not approaching it like you would approach it. See, imagine if they were to approach it from a transparent spot. And, I know a lot of pastors now that I like to listen to, mainly because that's exactly how they approach people. They come out saying, hey, look, I struggle with this.
Yeah,
hey, look, I'm still having issues with dealing with this. And so I speak on this even while I'm working on myself in this area because I know I'm not perfect. But you're right, though. When a lot of pastors come up to the pulpit in a manner of speaking where I'm holier than I look down on the sheep. I look down on you all as though you guys are trying to reach my status. It does create an atmosphere of, okay, well, we have to follow him until you realize, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not right.
Come on, bro.
And so it makes us kind of look at things. And then more importantly, I understood where you were coming from even one time when you said, the worst part about sometimes being a Christian is that you have to deal with other Christians who will judge, who will look down, who won't build you up because they feel like in their own insecurities, they have to bring you down with them because of what you're doing or what you're not doing. And I felt that in listening to you talk about that one time. And I do feel like that pushes a lot of people away from church, especially young folk who feel like, okay, I don't mind having a relationship with God, but see, y'all want me to come in and look a certain way. And this is a good one. Think about it. They say, come as you are. But once you get here though, no, you gotta you gotta act a certain way, you gotta look a certain way. We're gonna give you 2 days to stop cussing and all. And it's like, all I can ever think about is, in order to reach people, I got to meet you where you're at. And in meeting you where you're at, that means that it requires me say, I'm not trying to change you. I just want you to meet my Father. And he wants a relationship with you. And that's exactly how you are. But what do we hear normally from the culture? Well, bro, let me get my life right. Yeah. Let me adjust some things. Let me change some things, and then I'll come and holler at you at church. But it's like no, come like that. Like just like that, y'all. But bro, I still got, I got weed on me. I got the smell of weed on me. I just finished. I just left out the bar. Yeah. That's all good.
That. That's
come like that.
Yeah.
Come like that. Because the truth is if the church won't accept you, then we both in the wrong church.
Man, you said something then, bro.
But we both in the wrong church. If they not going to accept you, and I'm inviting you, and I want you to have a relationship with my father, who is your father, and they won't accept you like that, then we both at the wrong church. And we're going to both go and find the church that will not only accept you, but accept anybody that I'm trying to reach. Because who are we trying to reach, right? Who are we reaching?
Yeah. We're supposed to be reaching the people out there in the world, the people who don't have the relationship, the people who don't have the understanding. But how can they get the understanding if we pushing them away? If God is love, we can't say God is love, but he's condemning you because of what you got on.
Yeah.
We can't say God is love, but he's condemning you because of what you did yesterday. Okay. Then if that be the case, then we may as well remove the part about forgiveness out of the word, but we can't remove anything because the word says if anybody add or if anybody take away from this thing in here, then come on, man. We know where it at. Read it for yourselves. So for me, it's heavy, bro. It's heavy.
No, you're right. And that was why when I watched you talk about that, I was like, man. So tell me, what do you do to enrich your spiritual and mental health these days?
Yeah. Like you said, brother, like there are still men and women of God that's out here doing it the right way, doing it the real way. So I'm definitely being fed by them, man. I'm still studying to show myself approved, working on my personal relationship, getting my vertical connection right so that my horizontal connection with everybody else is on one accord, right? So let me not act like I just have separated myself from the religion, right? And for the organization of the situation, right? But I have not separated myself from the essence of my father. Like, again, I dare not sit here and deny the existence, right? Because without his existence, I wouldn't be where I am, right? I wouldn't be in a position to influence or empower or impact anybody. So when I'm motivating, inspiring, educating, and empowering, it's not me, it's my father working through me. I'm being the personification of the Christ in me, showing you that how, as imperfect as I am, as messed up as I am, as all the mistakes that I've made, all the failures that I have in my life, being a former drug dealer, former gang member, right? I drunk the alcohol all the time, smoked the trees all the time, like all that. God still chose to use somebody like me. And if he chose to use somebody like me, then why he can't use somebody like you? So I can't stop doing what God called me to do, because if I don't show you that God gonna use you just like that, you can't wait until you change. You can't change yourself. You didn't create you. Right. You're not the manufacturer of you. The habits that you have that you built up over time, you just can't put them down one day and be like, oh, I'm changed now. It's a process. Right. And even when you in the church, being fed, being in prayer, in the community, like, first of all, we got to remember that we are the church. It's not limited to those four walls. You think, listen, man, you think God is concerned about chandeliers and sheetrock and carpet and pews and a pulpit with a podium and microphones and drums and keyboards? God ain't concerned about all of that. Look, we are the temple that God built. Everything he spoke into existence, but he put his hands on us, and we are his temple. The church is supposed to be the community of people gathered together, because he said, forsake not the assembly. But look, I believe it was somewhere in the word, Robert, and I think it was Paul that said, beloved, he said, I become all things so that by all means I might save some. I'm going to run it back. He said, I become all things to all men so that by all means I might save some. If we look at Christ and really become the example of Christ, follow the example that he set, he didn't put himself on a pedestal, right? He didn't condemn others. He spoke truth, right? With correction, conviction, right? But he spoke it in love. Right. He draw nigh. He draw near unto those who were brokenhearted. Yes. Right. He blessed those. He didn't brag about it and say, oh, look, I done got myself together. Look at you out there messing up. Look at you out there. Look at you. No, he didn't do none of that. He said, come kick it with me. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Come break bread with me. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we have to adopt that same mindset. And I stand here today as real as I ever been and making more impact than I ever impacted people before, when I was standing in the pulpit trying to be holier than thou. When I'm realizing I can never hold up to those standards of excellency. That's why Christ came. That's why we have grace. Right? Grace is grace delivered us, saved us from the condemnation and the punishment of the law. And if we operating under grace, which is the example that Christ set, then every day I'm reaching towards that goal. And Paul said, not that I have attained it, right? But he said, I'm pressing towards the mark of the prize of the high calling. So every day, Robert, we pressing forth towards the goal, right? But just because we pressing forth that goal, we can't forsake the greatness that God has put in us right now while we in this mess, because it's right now in the mess that people gonna see you in your mess. And when God wash you up and when God polish you up, he polished you up from the inside first, and then it poured out on the outside. He said, good measure, when a man give, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and run it over. What God calls men to give into your bosom. Men to give what? Men would not only just give financial resources, we get stuck right there. But no. We talking about wisdom. Yeah. He talking about liberty. He talking about honor. He talking about grace. He talking about freedom. He talking about right relationship with him. He talking about connection. He talking about love, Robert. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. It's love. So yeah, I'm still deeply rooted. I'm more deeply rooted than I've ever been with my Heavenly Father, because I know he loved me just as I am. And when I decided to realize that, I now see myself and all those around me, not through my eyes, but I see him through the eyes of the one who created me. I see him through the eyes of my Father who created them. And I dare not condemn who God has blessed. Let no man curse who God has blessed. No man can condemn who God has blessed. Right. And I dare not be hypocritical and say that God hasn't blessed me, even in my mess. That don't mean I'm supposed to continue practicing my mess. That just means I'm supposed to get to a point where that mess is not attractive to me anymore, because the direction I'm headed, I'm outgrowing it. So those weights fall off.
Come back with that again, because you know what? That is what people need to understand. That listen, he's not expecting you just to shed everything that you see when you look in the mirror now. He knows that over time it's going to shed off. He's going to change, like you said, change you from the inside out, because you're going to start to notice the change. And then more importantly, others are going to start to feel him through you, through the love you give, through the joy you're exuding, through the patience and all the different fruits of the spirit. So no, that, bro, listen to me. You took us all the way to church, brother. Man, we go ahead and open the doors of the church now.
Hey, man,
we can open the doors of the church now. That was powerful. And no, I appreciate you saying that, because that really is that is important as we continue to try to reach more people, reach the culture that is going so far away from God. And you know, I was watching a podcast not too long ago where they were talking about I'm not going to say the name of the podcast or anything like that, but they were talking about, and it's funny because the guy that was on there, he's from out of Atlanta, and he was talking about how the look, they were actually talking about a football player, Russell
Westbrook.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because you know I'm from the A2.
No, not Russell Westbrook. I'm sorry.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Westbrook played basketball.
Yeah,
I'm tripping.
Basketball. Yeah, we tripping.
Russell Wilson.
But they were talking about how he was a cornball because of his Christian background and his beliefs, and how he handled his family and how he handled his woman, and he was a square. And I thought that was funny, because a lot of people have looked at men who seek after God's purpose, who seek after God's will, as sometimes cornballs. And one thing I will definitely tell them is that it's funny how you can look at a man like you can look at a man like me and other men out here who are continuing to seek after God's purpose and live our lives according to God's will. And even in what may look like what could be a box or a square, as they called it, you know, I truly believe that there comes a point where every man will have to, you know, we will all have to answer to God. But I believe it's in the way a man approaches his family, the way a man is viewed out here, that he is able to showcase what a lot of us are looking for, and don't believe we can get unless we go in the opposite direction. You know what I mean by that? Yeah, you kind of get where I'm coming from. That it looks like you may be a square or a cornball, but I see a man myself personally that I would have liked my daughter to date or marry.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to be my role model in life. Like what is it that God has shown you, or what is He? What how do you continue to put yourself in a place where you can truly be able to tap into what God has for you, even when it doesn't look good to culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because not to say that's how people in Atlanta look at the culture, or the culture looks at people
Right. I
that are
feel you.
they're seeking after God. But you know, I do know that you being a man of God, I don't think there's nothing cornballish about you. I don't know if you've ever been approached that way, and that, bro,
Right on.
you know, like how would you address that?
Yeah. Right on, man. And I appreciate you too. But I'm gonna be real. In the book, the book talk about it, right? Like I was
Yeah.
that square. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? For those of you who feeling that way, you want to go there, let's do it then. Yeah. I was that square. But look at me now. You understand what I'm saying? Like I got, look, man, this is how the saying go. Look, don't ask the streets how real a man is. Ask his family. You want to know how real a man is? You want to know if he really authentic? You want to know if he really raw? Have a conversation with his kids. Have a
Right.
conversation with his wife. You understand what I'm saying? And I had to become a man to get to this point to understand. You get what I'm saying? Because I
Right.
thought like this. I thought that just because I had turned a certain age, right, that it just automatically came with the title of being a man and manhood, right? But see, one of my favorite uncles, he used to tell me like this. He said, "Hey nephew, AGE does not spell MAN." I'm gonna say it again. AGE does not spell MAN. So when you get to the point where you are mature enough to be man enough to be able to handle yourself in a manner that's respectable to you, then you don't really care how the rest of the world view you, because they change like the weather. They change like we change clothes after taking a shower. They gonna love you one day, then they gonna hate you the next. They gonna follow trends. But when you consistent in who you are,
Right.
they change. Like, listen, man, let me tell you something, man.
That's so true.
Oftentimes, back when I was in school, I'm gonna be real, a lot of the cool kids ended up dying. A lot of the cool kids are sitting in prison right now. A lot of the so-called cool and tough guys are working for those so-called nerds right now. Like they working for those so-called lame people, because those lame people, right, has established something, because something on the inside of them told them that they were greater than the names, right, that they were being called. Right, that they were greater than what the community or the world around them projected onto them. Right. So by God polishing them, remember, from the inside, from the outside, you can't do nothing but pour out what's on the inside. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And here's the thing. Like, it's easy to talk tough. It's easy to follow the trend. It's easy to do what everybody else say is cool. But if you really want to know the definition of hard, the definition of hard is standing on your own. The definition of hard is being able to express the fact that, hey, you hurt my feelings. I'm offended by what you said, and I'm going to communicate the way I feel. I'm going to communicate my emotions, right, in an effective way. Right? It's easy to get mad and be like, oh, I'm gonna run and fight. We finna hit, right? Oh, I'm finna go get the pistol. I'm gonna stand across the street and shoot with my eyes closed. That's easy. That's a coward. You ain't really hard as you say you are. So those of you who talking about these guys who are square, who handling business, I would suggest that you take notes, get a notepad and journal, and try to follow these guys and actually consider them being your mentors, right? Because you might look cool to the culture, or it ain't about how much money you got. Guess what? Because when you gone, you can't leave that. And when you being face to face with the one who created you, and you will become face to face with him one day.
Sure.
He don't care nothing about how cool you was. He was going to say, I gave you them kids. Did you love them? He going to say, I gave you that wife. Did you love her? And I'm one who's been divorced, my brother. So I failed at that marriage thing, right? So I'm looking at you to tell you that it's only by the grace of God that I got another opportunity and that I'm doing it right this time. But I had to mess it up first to realize what I was really doing and what I really had. So I'm going to encourage those brothers who walking around feeling like they square. No, you ain't square. God got you right where he wants you. So stay right there. You feel me?
Right. No, that's good, bro. Yeah, you hammered that all the way in there. so I can't leave today without asking, man, when's listen, if you haven't got this book, pick this up. I'm telling you, and don't just pick up a copy for yourself, pick up a copy for your son, for your nephew, for sure. Trust me. Yeah, there it goes. Pick up a copy for sure. Yeah. But I gotta ask, man, if nobody else is asking, I'm sure they are asking, when's part 2 coming?
Oh man, part 2 is definitely on the way. So stay tuned. I can't give up the secret right now, but you got to stay locked in. You got to stay locked in.
All right.
It's on
Okay.
the way.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to put your information so people can continue to follow you and tap in with your community, because our communities are truly something that are enriching, are growing our men and females who are listening, who want to listen for the men in their lives, who want to really understand how men are thinking and all that. These communities are truly important. King Speak is truly an important community. I mean, it says it in the name, King Speak. I definitely want to go ahead and let you close us out today, brother. Any last words or anything that you want to leave with my listeners?
Man, first of all, I just want to thank you, bro, for this opportunity. Thank you for giving me opportunity to share my story. Thanks for the feedback on the book and even sharing your platform for me to speak to your community of people, man. And listen, for those of you who are out there feeling like don't nobody see you, feeling like don't nobody care, you feeling like you've been neglected or abandoned, right? Maybe you dealing with some suicidal ideations. Maybe you struggling with depression, right? I want to let you know I've been there. I want to let you know that book, it talks about me from my childhood all the way up into my teenage years, right? All the way up into me going into the military. But let me tell you something, right? What you didn't know, right? And I'm gonna give you a sneak peek in the part 2 right now, since my brother asked about it. What you didn't know is that when I got out of the military, see, I was diagnosed with PTSD, which is a post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was also diagnosed with a personality disorder. We're talking about mental health here, and black men, right? We don't want to talk that talk. We don't want to talk about that type of hurt. But I'm here to let you know that somebody understands. I'm here to let you know that somebody cares, but don't hold it to yourself. Don't be in isolation. Listen, the enemy comes for 3 reasons: to steal, kill, and destroy, right? If he can steal your joy, if he can steal your identity, right? He can kill your purpose, right? How does he kill your purpose? By destroying. He destroys you from the inside by separating you from your community. The first thing he want to do is isolate you, get you by yourself, and start telling you them lies and reminding you of the failures and the mistakes of telling you what you can't. Just remember, when he tells you you can't, tell him that you can, because Christ said that you can do all things. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And this is your big brother, Demont Pope, a.k.a. Mr. Purpose Over Pointless Excuses, telling you that purpose looks good on you. Yeah.
Listen to me. That was it. I love that, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that with my listeners as well as your own. Brother, I thank you for the time today. I really appreciate you coming on here, brother. That was truly love, and I truly enjoyed every bit of that. That was truly a blessing, and I appreciate your gift of vulnerability, not only here today but also in your book. So like I said, I want to thank you for the conversation. I want to thank all my listeners for joining today. I want to thank everybody that makes these episodes possible. And hey, I look forward to the next episode to sit down with all of you, brother. Thank you again. Love you, man.
Yeah, love you back, bro. Likewise. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed the conversation and stories, you will subscribe and listen to past and future content. Feel free to comment, as we would love to read your comments and pray over all of our listeners. Also, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Mensstories.
We understand as men how the thought of even facing your own story and the pain and hurt that come with that is a challenging task. But we don't want you to feel like you are all alone, because you are not. God has not forgotten you or left your side, and he loves you no matter what you have done. Your healing is important to him, and we want you to have these free resources that already exist if you're considering giving up or need someone to talk to. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line if you need to talk to someone. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle with mental health. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.